Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro. 1, 2, 3.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We got Chris Wynn sitting in studio. We have producer Steiny.
Steiner.
No, he doesn't like when I call him that. Jason Stein is our
Steiner.
producer. He's here as well, going to be a part of this conversation because, you know, we've had so much to talk about here the first couple hours, and we'll have more to talk about coming up here at the bottom of the hour as we get ready for the Mountain West Conference Tournament, UNLV Boise State on Thursday, and the senior associate commissioner will be joining us, Dave Butterly, coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But let's talk a little bit. Yeah, Butterly, that gets me hungry. Let's talk a little bit about our weekends. Start by saying that I was able to see Chris Reed from Kid and Play. He joined us in studio Friday, saw him Friday night downtown. I was amazed at how funny this guy was. Yeah. I was dying. This guy is a brilliant comedian. I mean, really, if he wanted to just tour and just do stand-up, he could do it. He is phenomenal. So that was great. Got a chance to say hello to him again, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm telling you, in studio, he was one of the funniest. We probably interviewed maybe 12 or 15 comedians on this show. He was by far the funniest interview we've ever had.
And he's not even really a comedian. That's the incredible part.
He's multi-talented, though, guys. I listened and watched that interview. His singing skills were on display.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know what he could do as far as a comedian. Yeah, you could see why he'd make a good stand-up comic.
And we didn't even ask him about Colin Kaepernick.
No.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Major League Baseball now. Big League weekend, right?
Yes.
We had the Indians and we had the Oakland A's in town. I lost a substantial bet because I'm a degenerate, and I bet on preseason baseball. But with that being said, I want to describe with our producer, Jason Stein, about how the weekend started. So Jason Stein and I show up to the beautiful ballpark.
Yes.
And we were sitting in a seat in one of the suites, and it was a great seat, and
well, not in the suite.
Well, outside.
Let's stay in touch with the common man here.
Well, those were suite seats. They were outside of the suite, but part of the suite. But anyway, that's beside
we're in the
point.
open air.
Who cares? That's beside the point. The point being is that we were looking for Chris Wynn.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out.
Where
JD,
is our guy? Where is the Vegas Take correspondent?
So
what is he doing?
Let Stein take over the conversation from here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stein.
No, the first thing we get there, we're supposed to meet Chris at the ballpark. We're supposed to meet him in the little press area. And I text him and I say, "Hey, what's the food situation?" And Siwen says, "Oh man, they got eggs and they got bacon, and so it's a whole breakfast spread."
Yes.
So all right. So I said, "Hey, we're 5 minutes away. Save us a seat." Because people who cover sports, really what it's about is the food, right? So we're always trading notes.
We do
on
all of us comment
who's got
on the
what,
food.
you know, who's serving what and what's available and whatever. Anyway, so we go, we show up. Chris is nowhere to be found. There is a buffet set up. The eggs are gone. The eggs are completely gone. So first of all, I know Chris has been there,
and he agreed that he finished off the eggs.
And it was there was just probably 6 to 7 ounces of eggs left in the container. And
how many eggs is that?
I had to partake, and I had to make sure that I emptied them out so they could bring a fresh order in there.
So we're already
yes, I did.
off.
I powered them down.
So Stein, go ahead. We're already pissed off.
Yeah, we're already pissed off.
Yes.
The eggs are gone. Chris is nowhere to be found, so we quickly eat our scraps that Chris
Our
left
breakfast
us.
minus the eggs,
Our
right?
breakfast scraps. And we go and I take our seats, and we're still looking for Chris. He's not answering his phone.
Yep.
And we look at, wait a second, is that Seawen on the field? And it was. He's wearing his porn shirt. What did it say?
It was
time?
adult. I think it said adult time, and on the back it says keep them coming, but it spells coming
All right,
C-O-M-I-N-G.
hold on. Let me just explain.
But-
we went to the Adult Entertainment Expo with
did.
CWIN, and they give out free shirts at these
And
like
it's
adult.
a cool T-shirt.
Yeah,
It's
so
black.
He's, so he's wearing a
I
porn.
like it.
He's wearing a porn T-shirt in jeans
Yes.
as a member of the media walking
Yes.
on the field.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I'm on the field doing. I'm actually, I was partaking in getting the atmosphere from a visual aspect.
with your
I was
phone.
taking pictures with
your phone.
No, hey, I had to be on the field because I was taking pictures of showgirls, okay, with mascots and getting the whole vibe. I had, obviously a couple of the key players from both the Oakland A's and the Cleveland Indians are on the field, so I'm down there. It wasn't like I'm down there as a fan, just kind of like taking in the whole thing.
Well,
there was a whole purpose to it, but. The story gets better, right?
He didn't have, he's hanging
story gets
around.
better.
He's walking around with the likes of the TV stations
Exactly.
that have the real cameras.
And
he's
I have
out there.
my phone.
He's out there with his
He's
porn
got his
shirt.
Obama phone.
Yeah, he's out there with his Obama phone and his porn shirt.
These guys have tucked in shirts with polos.
Oh, yeah.
with
They're
their,
working.
with
They're
their company
TV
branded
people,
on it.
though.
Right,
They were
exactly.
radio people.
Or I'm sure-
There's a difference.
Or maybe Brian Samo was there with some
So
type
anyway,
of suit
he's-
on.
so
and,
he's
and,
down
and
there,
there's
and
Seawen
then
in
there's-
his porn shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You
So
get
he's-
what we're trying to portray.
So there he is behind
it's
home
an interesting
plate.
dynamic.
So anyway,
he's down there behind home plate, and all of a sudden, as he's sitting there with his little Obama phone taking pictures of all the players and everything, all of a sudden they announce the national anthem's about to start. So Chris has to stop. He's trapped. He's stuck in his own tracks. He has to stop
in the dugout.
what he's doing.
He's trapped.
And where did I have to stop, Stein?
He's next to the coach.
And what's his name?
They're lined up along the third base side.
Myself and another photog
And
broadcaster
who was the player,
from a
right?
TV.
The all-star that was standing right next to you?
It was Francisco Lindor wasn't right next to me, but he was over by. The reason I was over there is because I was taking photos.
So guys,
he's there in the starting lineup.
The best player in the building, of the best player in the stadium.
Hold on, let me just set the picture. Picture Chris Wynn.
That's why I was there.
If you know what Chris Wynn looks like,
but it was funny.
Okay, picture Chris Wynn.
Very funny.
Yeah. Picture Chris Wynn in jeans and wearing a porn shirt, standing, putting his hand over his heart
next
in
to
a
the coach.
lineup right next to the
manager.
I have to pay
manager
respect.
and the
As a veteran, I have to pay my respect to my country when the national anthem is playing.
So you have this row of players in Cleveland Indians jerseys, right? And then at the very end of the line, or at the front of the line, is Chris Wynn in his porn shirt.
Yes,
right next to the manager of the Cleveland Indians.
Exactly,
doing the national anthem.
100% true.
And then we laughed at him some more.
Yes. And so I found my way up to the box where Brian and Stein had found. And look, there was a bunch of us up there.
Yeah.
And that was rather a tremendous spot there.
So the A's mascot, I forgot his name, but the
Stomper.
Stomper is
the elephant.
He's a big elephant. No, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the A's mascot.
Yes.
And he has this drum. And he's beating a drum, da, 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 because people are rooting for the A's, because technically it's an A's home game. So as he's doing that literally a foot away from me, I go, go, Knights, go. And he looks at me, and then he does it again. Da, 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 da. Go, Knights, go. Because I'm just trying to be a jerk, you know? He looks at me, the mascot. He's visibly upset. He puts both his arms on his waist and gives me the look, and then he does the Sharks.
The San Jose Shark chomp that they do inside the arena for the Sharks.
Stomper was throwing shade.
Clearly would agitate any of the fans there in attendance who are nice fans,
So Brian
obviously.
Salmon is sitting behind us. If you don't know who Brian is, he's the lead sports anchor for Channel 3.
Show.
He actually recorded that exchange, and he posted it on Twitter, and Stomper retweeted it. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
It was. But anyway, the game was fun, other than the fact that I lost a lot of money on the game. The game was fun, and I'm looking forward this weekend to Cubs in action.
Yes.
I believe
Against
it is against the
Cincinnati
Cincinnati
Reds.
Reds.
So are you saying that the A's lost?
No, the
No,
A's
the A's
won.
won both games.
He bet against the A's.
The Indians were up 5-1, and they lost the game.
JD,
bet the Indians?
JD, this
Yes.
was textbook spring training baseball.
Yeah.
The Indians go up 5-1, okay, and then they end up coughing up the lead, go down 6-5. They end up the Indians end up tying it up, and then 2-run homer right late.
Why would you bet against the A's?
I'm not going to answer that.
At the Aviators Stadium.
Well, I would ask you the same question. Number one,
why would you do that?
Okay, well,
how did you bet $1,000? How much did you bet?
Stein, this is turning into a critique of Brian's betting practices.
I will answer.
Anyone who bets spring training is a degenerate gambler.
I will answer that
sick
question by asking you one.
Okay, what?
Why in the world would you be hanging out in Laughlin over the weekend, hanging out at the Avi Casino in the middle of the night, watching fights breaking out while playing $5 craps?
First of all, I didn't even get to tell my story yet, Brian.
Well, he kind of set it up for you because we want to hear the details, JD.
I gave you a T-ball.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the T-ball question. So I went to Laughlin, Nevada for the first time in my life this weekend.
Really?
And I chose to. The reason I went there is my buddy, it was his birthday, and he purchased tickets to Kiss. And so I did get to see Kiss.
Mini Kiss?
I'm talking Paul Stanley.
The real Kiss played in Laughlin?
I'm talking Gene.
Yeah,
Gene
he did.
Simmons.
They
did.
The real guys.
An outdoor venue, the Laughlin Event Center. Honest to God, it may have been the best show I've ever seen in my entire life. These guys are senior citizens. Paul Stanley is 68. Gene Simmons is 70. And I am shocked the show was that good. The pyrotechnics were unbelievable. Paul Stanley's voice is still on point. Gene Simmons does the exact same thing. It's their farewell tour. So I got to see this. I got to see this Kiss show, and it's one of those things when you watch these guys. I mean, the drummer he's 61. Tommy Thayer, the lead guitarist, Spaceman, he's 6. I mean, these guys are 27 years older.
I
than
didn't
me
know you were such a Kiss mega fan.
I'm not a Kiss.
Never knew that.
I'm not a Kiss mega fan, but it felt great to see a legendary band. And these guys, they're still rock stars.
So why?
I mean,
okay.
After watching those guys on stage, I'm under the impression that rock stars. I mean, being a rock star, it never really fades.
All right.
I'm
what
telling
about
you, these guys are twice as old as I am.
I understand.
They're in great shape. They're singing their dance for 3 hours, dressed up in this very aggressive attire.
Here's what I hear.
Nuts.
Okay, but here's what
What do you hear, Brian?
Here's what I also think is nuts. I'm glad you had a good time at the show, by the way, and I've seen Kiss as well. I actually saw them do a show without makeup. That was actually more freaky than with makeup. But I actually did, That's a true story at the Orleans. But my question is, I don't want to hear about rock stars. I want to hear why a man in his early 30s like yourself, a lavish-looking gentleman like yourself, would be staying at Avi Casino, which is a casino
first of all,
25 minutes from the Laughlin Strip.
It's not 25 minutes. It's probably 12 to 15 minutes.
Why would you be staying there?
I didn't know where to stay. My buddy who bought the tickets, he was already staying there. I have a daughter, and they have something called a Kids Quest. Kids Quest, like I can just bring it's like a day.
Just drop them off in an arcade.
I can just drop. It's not really an arcade, but it's a place where my daughter gets food and they change her diaper and whatever else. And so
basically everything you don't do is that
I dropped her off. I dropped her off.
They changed the diapers to some of the Kiss fans too.
But that's why we stayed there.
That's a good question.
Okay, anyways, but that's why we stayed there. But so I'm playing craps at 1:30 in the morning after the Kiss show. And there's these three guys, and there's like 7 of us around the table, and 3 of the guys are starting to argue about this girl, and it's not even a girl. This woman's like 55 to 57 years old, but she's standing next to this 28 probably year old guy, and he's hitting on her. And I guess this woman was with another guy who's about 26, and the 26-year-old confronts the 28-year-old, and they've each got 2 friends behind each other. The 26-year-old is. I see him reach, and he's probably 5'5", 120 pounds.
So this is
not
a fight
guy.
at the Avi Casino,
right in front of right in the entrance, right in front of the craps table. I see this guy reach for his waist, and I'm thinking to myself, "Holy crap! Someone's going to get shot
Wrong
here."
Place, wrong time.
Yeah,
nuts.
7 out, line away. Let's get out of here.
So one of the guys pushes the other guy. And one security guard. I'm talking. If this happened in Las Vegas, even at Ellis Island, like there'd be 5 guards swarming. One security guard. And this guy, he was probably 5'10", 300 pounds. I mean, just sloppy heavy. Not an athlete. He wasn't going to do anything.
Don't talk about Chris Wynn.
I'm not talking about Chris Wynn. But I'm saying this guy, this one security guard walks up and just stares at people. So the guys
he didn't take any action.
Just listen, Chris.
He didn't do anything.
So the actual guys, actual guys at the crap table, they're the one that separate the fight. Yeah. So the security guard just stands in front of the entrance, and these 3 guys, they loom. They basically step across. Like they probably step 10 steps back, and they just stare. They're allowed to sit there and stare at the other guy for 5 straight minutes. I mean, they're not asked to leave. Another security guard doesn't show up.
Do you think they had a weapon on them?
I'm telling you, Brian, I saw him reach for his waist.
So you think he might have had a weapon?
It would not shock me at all if there was a weapon. All I know is that I took about 10 steps back myself.
Instead of the comment
and basically
at the craps line, instead it's come and don't come, it should have been live or don't live.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I'm telling you, it was not an experience.
Can I get odds on that,
I'd like
please?
to have again. That being said, I was all I could tell the craps dealer was
did you continue to gamble while this was going on?
Yeah, I was gambling.
And you're calling me a degenerate.
I was gambling. Most of the time.
The guy is playing $5 craps, doesn't pick up his chips when he thinks that there might be a murder right in front of him. I'm the degenerate.
Until you are, Brian, if you're betting spring training against the team.
You're betting $5 craps when 2 guys might kill each other.
I'm playing very minimal craps where I'm buying for $100. You're betting $1,000.
It's not the money. I'm not going to die if I lose $1,000 on a spring training game. You could have died.
And so this isn't in downtown Laughlin, right? This is in the outskirts of Laughlin. We're talking.
All right, gentlemen.
The point is, the security guard didn't even separate the two groups, and then he let them just stare at each other and didn't kick them out.
It's the Old West.
And all I told the craps dealer at the time,
man.
I said, "Hey, man, this would never ever fly in Las Vegas, ever." I don't care if it's the smallest casino in Vegas. They're getting thrown out.
Give me a $5 hard 6.
They're getting 86.
And this would never happen in Vegas.
I was just shocked that it happened that way.
I gave that to one of my dates over the weekend. That's another story for another show.
But that being said, Kiss was unbelievable.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
I have a newfound respect for senior citizen rock stars.
Well, listen, there's a reason why they've made a lot of money. They're obviously very good entertainers. Okay, so let me ask a question. Chris and Stein, you and me stay out of this. I'm just going to ask the question, JD. What would consider yourself a bigger degenerate? And be honest. I won't be offended.
Okay.
Somebody who lost $1,000 on a spring training base.
$1,200.
Hold on. $1,200, fine.
You bet 12 to win 1,000?
Let me finish the question. I told you, you got to stay out of it.
Minus 120.
I got to stay out of it.
Fire away, Brian.
Who's done pretty well in gambling, by the way, over the course of several months.
That has nothing to do with the question.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Somebody who bets that kind of money, or somebody who is sitting at a craps table at 2 in the morning in Avi Casino.
1:30.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1:30 in the morning, thinks
Don't
that
embellish the story.
there's a fight going on and there might be a gun on one of the persons because he reached his waistband, doesn't leave the area, continues to play $5 craps.
Again, Brian, I took 10 steps back when that took place.
Well, that'll really save your life if somebody has a gun. You're absolutely right. I mean, the bullet won't go more than 10 feet.
It makes it much less likely for me to. And there was 5 or 6 people in front of me.
You didn't pick up your chips. You continued to play and have a conversation. Okay. Guys, gentlemen, go.
My answer to that question is this. It's you, Brian, and it's for this reason. It's for the sheer amount of money bet on something that JG just described.
By the way, you
You're
owe me money. Are you going to pay me today?
I absolutely am.
Okay.
By the way, you're betting on spring training baseball, okay? Period, full stop.
Stein?
With JD,
all right.
his situation,
We got
the
your
reason
opinion.
why yours is, in my opinion, more degenerate. JD's just embarking on,
I'm in the wrong
on
place
a
at the wrong
setting.
time.
Yeah, he's in the wrong place, wrong time.
Brian-
And it doesn't matter how much he was betting a low amount, but that really doesn't matter.
Right.
He was just having an experience
point is-
where he was in a casino.
Sounds like a great
Brian-
experience.
It's the
when I
fact
think
that
I
you're
might
betting
die.
preseason
Brian,
minor league,
let
Cactus
Stein
League
answer.
baseball that
Not
makes
even-
it more
It's
degenerate.
not even Cactus League.
Yes,
He's not
you know what I
even
mean.
counting the standings.
Go ahead.
And it was
Stein.
split squad.
I mean,
JD, split
completely-
squad, by the way, too.
Completely irrelevant game.
Stein.
But just because Brian is there,
Let Stein answer the question.
You assume the risk. Just because you're there, you want action on a game. You have to have
I
that
can
type
tell
of
you
And
what
you
action
I
didn't
on
just
a
put
game.
$10 or $20 on it like I
Okay.
do. You put because, by the way, I had a
Stein answer
wager
the
on the other
question.
team. It was
Oh
you put
my
$1,200
God.
on it. That's
all
why.
right. You could have just been Brian or JD. You didn't have to give us a 10-minute reasoning. Go ahead, Stein.
I also think Brian in this situation is the bigger degenerate, and here's why. I don't think JD not getting up from the craps table has anything to do with gambling. I think he's just an oblivious, dense guy. And that's just who he is.
I don't think that's like a backhand.
I don't know if that's necessarily. Yeah,
he just kind of.
I would describe him as aloof, Stein. Right?
Yeah,
He's
fine.
an aloof guy.
Every now and then I can be aloof.
Yes.
I'll agree with that.
So I think he was just being himself.
Well, here's a question, Brian.
Dents insinuates
Whereas
that
you
something
made that
about intelligence.
calculated
Yeah. It was
decision to bet
insinuated
that
they're not
kind of
smart.
money.
Well, and here's the question, Brian. How much? You said you bet $1,200. Or Stein said you bet. How much of that, in relation to your net worth? What's the proportion there?
I'm not going
honest to God.
to answer
Is
that
it?
question.
Is,
Yeah, that's
is it
personal finances.
Is it more than 10%?
No, that's a personal question.
Is it more than 10%?
No. Okay, will you answer a personal question for me then?
What's up?
How many times did you have sex with your wife over the weekend?
Brian, that's totally irrelevant. There's nothing. That has nothing to do
All
with
right,
money.
so Brian, here's
What I'm
the deal.
saying is, if you're betting, if you're betting more than 10% of your net worth,
I will
on
answer
on a spring
okay,
on a
so
spring
can I answer?
We got to shift.
Can I
Brian.
answer?
on a spring training game that
Okay.
you can't control.
Will you answer my question if I answer yours?
At the Aviators
yes or no?
game.
Will you answer my
I mean,
question if I answer yours? It's a personal
No,
question.
it's
It makes
not-
you uncomfortable.
No, just
this question makes me
Brian,
uncomfortable. I answer it, though.
Just because it's personal doesn't mean.
So you won't answer my personal question, but you want me to answer yours. I'll answer yours. It makes me uncomfortable.
No,
I want to make you uncomfortable.
My question to you is within the realm of our conversation. Your
Okay.
question to me is going outside of it because
so-
you're so embarrassed by my question to you.
Outside
First
the
of all-
box, Stein.
First of
Outside
all,
the box
over here.
first of
Me.
all, it is inside the box, literally, because it was in Laughlin, number one, and it was in your Avi hotel room. So, with all due respect, I disagree with you.
No, it's not.
I will
even
answer
close.
your question
It's
if you
all,
answer.
It's all about.
Answer
it's
the
all
question.
about betting, and gambling and being a degenerate.
All right, I think the answer is no.
so
the
you
answer is
don't-
no.
So,
again,
Brian-
you-
so
the
you-
answer is
you don't-
no.
You don't have to answer the question, Brian. That's fine.
Okay,
I think,
I'll
Brian,
answer.
this is a good
Hold on,
time.
let me answer the question.
You don't
Even
have
though
to.
he's a coward and he won't answer my question, the answer is no. That was not 10% of worth. I have more, and I'm being completely 100% honest. I'll show you my bank account if you don't believe me. I have more money than that.
Okay. Okay.
I swear to God, on my
All right.
life, on my life.
So Brian,
So
or
answer
JD,
my question. Is it? Hold on. Wait, stop.
I think
I'm a
this
poker
is-
player. Stop. I'm a
Okay,
poker
Brian,
player.
Yes.
I have absolutely,
poker
I have
player.
absolutely no reason to answer your question at all.
Did you have sex with your wife?
Brian, I'm not going to answer that
The
question.
answer is no. He was with his daughter. The answer is no.
That
You
is-
got, hey, Shap, you got rope-a-doped, okay? You got rope-a-doped. What are you going to do? But I think this is an appropriate time, though, to shift to Sunday, what
Yes.
took place when we had an opportunity to go to our friend of the show, Steve Sears' house
Yes.
for
Go
a
ahead,
little
Chris.
Sunday soiree.
Explain who Steve
What's
Sear
always
is.
fun about going to our friend Steve's
Nobody
house
knows who he is. Tell-
Steve Sear is a very prominent, obviously someone who has worked here in Las Vegas for a number of years as a casino host. He has a great book, Whale in the Desert, I
Yep,
believe,
yep.
that's out. A tremendous amount of stories. But Steve is a guy with he's a character, right? He's somebody that is very intriguing to us. So when we get an opportunity to go to his house, it's always fun because there's always a nice mix, an eclectic mix of people that go to his
He has
house.
awesome friends.
He has awesome friends
Yes.
they're a lot of fun to hang out with, and his house is always fun. The last time
and
we
it
were
was
there
even more
for
awesome
Championship Sunday.
And it was even more awesome because Stein didn't want to go.
And so, unfortunately, both Jason Stein and JD did not go with us.
I never get to go to these parties.
So it's
Ever.
No, because your car registration isn't up to date.
Whatever it is, whatever the reason it is, I'm always doing something else.
Yeah, we always get sidetracked by something like this, right? So we go to the party. Brian and myself go to the party.
Stein's being very rude to JD today, I must say. More rude than I am usually. Would you agree, JD, that Stein is being very combative with you this morning?
Considering how respectful I am to Stein and how often I stand up to him or stand up for him on a regular basis, I would agree with you.
You remind me of my father.
JD, you expect this from me. I'm going to be an a-hole.
Again,
this is something you expect. But hey, at least give me credit. I'm consistent. Would you agree with that?
I have no problem with your consistency, Brian.
Good. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
So we end up at this party, right? And as I mentioned, there's characters all over the place, right? There's people all different age ranges, all different, interests, all different. I mean, you could walk to literally each different person and get different stories, and it'd be an interesting place to be. So we end up. What's the one thing, guys, when you go to a party or you go to a bar or you go to an establishment and there's alcohol involved, there's other things. What are the things that you're not supposed to talk about? What are those things that you should not necessarily get into with people that you don't know
Religion
from before?
and politics.
Absolutely. So, of course, once we start whacking back a couple of cocktails, right, we are in the middle of this bar in Steve's house, and there's 4 or 5 of us around.
With a Trump supporter.
And none of us, we haven't met each other before this day.
So what
right?
do I do?
We
Hold
know
on.
nothing
Can I
about
take this over?
So no, I'm going to point this out.
Quickly.
So what do we know about Brian Shapiro when there's an opportunity to create, to take the knife and twist it a little bit? When there's an opportunity to get people fired up, right? Where there's an opportunity to instigate things. Brian Shapiro took advantage of it. There was a Trump supporter that was with us, Marty, I believe his name was, a fellow casino host here in Las Vegas, and we start talking politics, right? And so you never thought that it would go this direction. And considering a lot of those people don't know each other before that moment you meet,
but
so you don't really want to go there. So long story short, Brian, you can take it from there.
I went to my car and I happened to have my Donald Trump hat in my car. 2020 Donald Trump hat. So I went in my car
with the orange hair.
I got to tell you something. It was a smash hit at this party. I had the beautiful women at this party that were, oh my God, I love your hat, taking it off. They were putting it on. We were taking pictures with it on their Instagram pages. They thought it was the funniest thing ever. Yep. I will say this, though. Donald Trump wearing one of the hats with an African-American wearing one of those hats is funny. It's funny to me, okay? It was funny. And it was a smash hit at the party. It kind of mellowed down the conversation.
Exactly.
People were laughing. So I did a good job of kind of settling down the conversation a little bit. Tons of beautiful women at this party. Great food. Steve Sear is one of the best party hosts in the world. To end the weekend,
did he
JD,
make his chicken wings?
He did.
Oh,
to end the weekend,
tap house
JD,
yes.
We're at Chris Wynn's house last night.
So we go to my house. Okay.
And by the way, I recorded some great videos of Chris because he went on some tangents last night, but we won't get into that. But anyway, Chris said, I'm going to bet the over on the Vegas Golden Knights game. So the over-under was 5.5. We only have a minute here. We got to go to break.
Okay.
The score was 4-1 through 1.5 periods, right?
Yes.
There was 30 minutes.
Most of the second period.
Yeah, there was 30 minutes of hockey left to be played. Not only did they not score in the rest of the second period, they don't score in the third period until 4 minutes to go. DeBauer had an open net. They were down 4-1. And he opened net down 4-1 with 4 minutes to go. We said, Chris, you got it. It's a lock.
It's a lock.
In 4 minutes, the odds have to be 50-1 that there's not going to be at least one goal scored. Mm-hmm. They don't score 3 minutes of an open net, and then the Knights coach decides to put the goalie back in the net.
But your rationale in that game is that, hey, I want to score as many goals as I can, but they don't do it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
We got to take a break.
It was a bad beat. It was a horrible beat.
It was a bad beat.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, the Senior Associate Commissioner of the Mountain West will be joining us. The Mountain West Conference Tournament is underway. We'll get to Dan Butterly coming up next on the Vegas Take.